Hey, what's going on, guys? Alek here from just around. I don't know if you actually know what I'm from yet, but I'm just gonna use a little time here for advertising for myself. Script Studio, Scribbles and Scruff on YouTube. Look it up. I'm great. Okay, anyway, I'm here today. I'm gonna bring you a new little challenge thing that I kind of came up with and I pitched to Matt, and I'm gonna be dragging him to this whether he likes it or not. But the idea is where it's actually gonna be like an improv kind of story idea, right? Where I'm gonna give him 3 different things this time. It's eventually gonna get harder. It's eventually gonna get more intense. But right now, since it's the first one, we're gonna give him 3 different pieces of information. And what he's gotta do is he's gotta use these 3 pieces of information and make a story out of it on the spot. Doesn't matter how he thinks, whatever he comes up with. Some might be good, some might be bad. But a lot of this is just gonna be complete raw footage. You're gonna see everything that comes to his mind. Every every and, every but, every or. Doesn't matter what it is, it's all gonna be there. I might go ahead and throw on some color. I might throw in a little bit of, who knows, sound effects maybe once in a while, but that'll be on my part after he's done his thing. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and drag him in. I'm gonna give him a total of about 10 seconds to think about a story from these 3 pieces of information that I give him, which, by the way, will be a person, a setting, and an item. That's all we're gonna give right now. So we're gonna go ahead and bring him in, and we'll continue forward with this. Thank you.
All right. It's a little nerve-wracking.
Welcome, welcome, my friend.
Okay.
Okay, so you understand the rules. You have to get every piece of information.
Every piece of information.
At this moment, it doesn't really matter as to how long it is. Just feel free to make a good story.
Okay.
And none of this is going to be edited.
None of it's edited.
None of it's edited.
None of it's edited.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So see if we can focus this real quick. 10-second timer, just for him to think about a whole story. But here are your 3 pieces of information.
Okay.
Number 1, your person. It's going to be a soldier.
A soldier.
Number 2, it's going to be in the Civil War setting. Number 3, it's going to have a red ball.
A red ball.
Okay, your timer starts.
Is
now.
this like real quick, is this like a basketball or is this like a...
Just any kind of red ball.
Any kind of red ball. Okay.
Yeah, 4 seconds.
Civil War, red ball.
1. And there's your time. Okay.
Okay.
Go for it.
Okay. Okay. Once upon a time, in a land far away, and by far away I mean Massachusetts, there lived a man by the name of Edmund. Edmund had just been drafted into the Civil War, and he was fighting on the side of the North. Geographically, I don't remember if Massachusetts was part of the North or the South, but for suspension of disbelief, let's say he was fighting on the side of the North. When Edmund was drafted, he was told something very special by his brother. He said, his brother, to him, I want you to take something with you, something to remember me by. And he said, what's that? And he said, I want you to take this picture. And inside the picture was a picture of his brother's mother, who was different than his own mother. And he says, why do you want to give me this? And he says, because I want you to remember that even though we come from a different mother, you and I are still brother. Zzz. And so the young brother says, okay, I'll do that. And then the soldier, Edmund, then says to his younger brother, I'm now going to give you something. And the young brother says, what are you going to give me? He then brings out a red ball that he gives to his brother. And he says, I'm going to give you this to remember me by. And he says, okay, I appreciate it. With his picture in hand, Edmund turns around and he goes off to war. In the process of the battle ensuing, Edmund is drafted eventually into the front lines of the war. And as he's brought into the front lines, he's told by his captains, we are going to be invading a nearby town. Now, Edmund is not in a good state emotionally. Why, do you ask? Because he has been writing letters to his brother for the past month, and there has been no response. He's wondering what has become of him, what's going on, why hasn't he been responding? Well, this day, Edmund has now been drafted into the front lines to go into the scene of the battle. As he goes into the front lines, he is now charged with leading a group of men through a grove of trees. An eerie silence is in this grove of trees. The men are turning every corner, looking behind every tree, searching the ground, searching the grass for any sound of an enemy attack. The further into the woods they go, the more eerie and silent it becomes. Every sound causes them to turn and look and see if somebody might be there. Finally, somebody hears a snap that causes the whole group to stop. Sound of a footstep stepping on a stick. Within 5 seconds, a man comes from around the corner of the tree and shoots in the direction of Edmund and his group. Shots are now fired on both sides, and then the entire enemy force has now revealed themselves. They're popping up out of trees, coming in out of bushes, and shooting toward the direction of Edmund and his group. Edmund leads the charge forward. They're slowly and steadily advancing. People are being taken down left and right on the other side. The moment that Edmund looks and sees an enemy soldier on the other side, in line, a person that had been killing a couple of men on his side, he gets his gun ready, points it in the direction of the man, fires. It's a hit. The man comes crashing down. He goes over and he looks at the man, and he doesn't recognize him. But in the process of not recognizing him, he notices a bulge in his jacket. He opens the bulge, goes inside, and there is a red ball, exactly like the one he gave to his brother. He turns to the man who is now grasping for breath, trying to hang on to life, and he says, "Where did you get this?" The man stutters, and he says, "Where did you get this?" And the man dies. Does not have a chance to answer. He turns around desperately, wondering where that ball could have came from. And the thought has now entered into his head that fighting on the enemy team, enemy lines, is his brother. What before was a casual pursuit forward to go on the enemy team has now turned into a search mission for him. For every last minute, it may be his brother that comes on enemy lines. As he looks and he looks and he looks, the battle ensues and eventually comes to an end. Dead bodies are being inspected left and right, and he's looking for the face of his brother. No sign of him. He's looked everywhere, nothing. He holds in his hand the red ball, and he now goes for that motion forward to try and see if he can find his brother. When he reports back to the chief, or to the captain, right, word gets around that another battle ensues further up into the territory that they're trying to move into. So his brother is now in the back of his mind constantly. And he is once again, Edmund is once again brought to the front lines to lead his group into the next battle. The battle ensues, and he presses forward, looking left and right for any sign of his brother that could be on the enemy side. One day, as the battle was ensuing, the battle had been occurring for a couple weeks now, a soldier from behind him, from his own cavalry, is shot. He goes to try to see if there's anything that can be done to save this soldier's life. And he notices a bulge in this soldier's jacket. He opens the bulge, or opens the jacket, reaches for where the bulge was, and pulls out a red ball. Almost exactly like the one that he had just gotten from the previous man. And this time it was on his own side. So now Edmund begins to wonder, while the battle ensues and his cavalry is moving forward, why now is the ball, another red ball, found on his own side? Is it possible that his brother had been drafted into his own side without him knowing? He doesn't know. The battle ends, and unfortunately several years pass, and Edmund has never been able to find about or hear from his brother during that time. He is discharged from the army and goes home to his mother. Upon returning home, one of the first things that he asks after greeting his mother and telling her how much he missed her, he says, "Where is my brother? I have been trying to get into contact with him for many years now. Where has he been?" And his mother then says to him, "Not too long after you left, your brother left himself. He said he was going on a journey. He never said where he was going. And he said it may be possible that he never returned." And so Edmund begins to wonder what this could have been about. Well, the return home had been really hard on Edmund. Struggling to find a way to return to normal life was really difficult. But one day he manages to find himself in town and sees in the distance an attractive woman. And so he goes upon the scene and begins to talk to this woman. And in the process of talking, and in the process of trying to make conversations, the question was asked by her to him, "What is the greatest gift you had ever received?" And he said to her, it was a picture. And she said, "Really?" And he pulls out of his pocket the picture that was given to him by his brother many, many years ago. And she says, "Why is this your favorite picture? And why is this your favorite gift?" And he says, "It was given to me by my brother. And the woman in this picture is not my mother, but she practically raised me. And so I feel like she's my mother. And my brother is my brother, whom I have not seen in many years." And she says, "Oh, that's great." He then turns the question on her and says, "What is your favorite gift that you've ever been given?" And she says, it's a little difficult to describe, but I'd better show you. And she was carrying with her a bag where she brought all of her stuff with her, and she pulls out of the bag a red ball, almost identical to the ball that he had given his brother many years ago. He then looks at the woman and says, "Where did you get that?" And she said, "It was given to me many years ago by a traveler whom I met on the road." And he said, what was this traveler's name? And she said, I do not know. I just know that I was going through a difficult time. And when he had given this to me, he said, this was the greatest gift that I have ever been given, and I now give it to you. And she says, what's this? It's a red ball. What am I going to do with this? And he says, it's not the ball that you need to remember. It's the intent behind the ball. It's what this ball now symbolizes to you that you must remember. And she asked him, what was that symbol? And he said, love. Love is what this symbolizes. Edmund now went through a cathartic moment as he pondered the previous balls that had been given to 2 soldiers on enemy sides and this woman. All different sides, different occasions, different stories. And yet, the one thing that brought them all together was this red ball. But it was not the red ball in the end that brought them together. It was the symbol of love. All because Edmund had given that gift to his brother many years ago. I wish I could tell you that Edmund later found out what happened to his brother, but he never found out. But he would carry him with him from that time forward, that picture, and the red ball, as that woman that he went to approach eventually became his wife. And they would reflect every year on the red ball that was given to them, to her, many years ago. The end.
That was a beautiful story, my friend.
Thank you.
That was an amazing story.
Woo.
That was actually a lot longer than I was expecting it to be too, so I'm impressed.
Yeah, sorry if that was really long, guys.
No, I thought it was great, but we're going to be doing more stuff like this.
Okay.
If you enjoyed this, please go ahead and subscribe to this channel. Give us a like. In fact, you could even email me. Look up Scribbles and Scruff. I have the email on there. Go ahead and just give me a couple ideas to throw at him if you want me to. And then we'll do that.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll even throw it into like a live stream.
Oh
Here
yeah,
on YouTube.
maybe do something live at some point. That would be a good idea.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So please, if you like this, give us some support, and we would love to do more for you. Give you a lot of new stories and stuff. And this guy is going to make sure they're pristine.
As pristine as can be when given 10 seconds to come up with it.
True.
Thank you guys so much. And yes, please like, subscribe, and share.
Yes. Thank you so much. We will see you guys hopefully in the next episode.
Next episode.
Bye.
Bye.